What happens when two of country music's biggest powerhouses clash on live television in a way no one expected. Today, we're breaking down the unforgettable moment that had everyone talking when Reba McEntire shocked audiences by storming off the Kelly Clarkson show after a disagreement that began lighthearted but spiraled into one of the most uncomfortable confrontations daytime TV has ever seen. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Do you think really sparked this tension between two icons of country music? At first, the atmosphere in the studio was electric but ordinary. Kelly Clarkson settled into her chair, beaming as she welcomed the legendary Reba McEntire. The audience was buzzing, the cameras rolled, and what should have been a simple promotional interview was about to unravel. Kelly opened with her trademark warmth. "Reba, it's always such a pleasure having you here. Your new album is getting incredible reviews, and honestly, it brought back so many memories of when we worked together on that duet years ago." Reba's expression stayed polite, but there was a flicker in her eyes. "Well, Kelly, I appreciate you having me. It's always interesting how people remember things differently from how they really happened." The comment lingered too long. Kelly's smile faltered, but she pressed forward. "I think we both remember that session pretty clearly. It was such a special time, working with someone I've always admired." "Admired," Reba repeated, her tone sharpening just enough for the audience to notice. "That's one way to put it, considering what really went on behind the scenes." Kelly shifted in her seat, caught off guard. "I'm not sure what you mean. We had a great time recording together. The song did so well, and I thought we had a wonderful working relationship." "Wonderful?" Reba gave a dry laugh that didn't touch her eyes. "Kelly, let's not pretend for these cameras that you don't remember exactly what happened. Or maybe you've rewritten it so many times that now you believe your own version." The room fell still. Kelly tried to hold her composure, but her confusion and hurt were visible. "Reba, if I did something to upset you back then, I wish you'd talk to me privately, not here on live television." "Privately?" Reba's voice rose, sharp as glass. "Believe me, I tried. I called your people, reached out through mutual friends, even spoke to you directly at events. But you were always too busy, always had somewhere else to be, always had an excuse." Kelly's face flushed, a mix of embarrassment and disbelief. "Reba, I swear to you, I never got those messages. If there was miscommunication with my team, I'm sorry, but I truly don't understand what this is about." "Oh, you don't understand." Reba's tone was cutting now. "Kelly, you took credit for arrangements that weren't yours. You changed lyrics without telling me. And when the song became a hit, suddenly it was your creative vision that got all the praise, while my contributions were pushed aside." The accusation landed like a punch. Kelly's voice cracked. "That's not true. The song was a collaboration. Both our names are on it. I never tried to take credit away from you." Reba leaned forward, her words dripping with sarcasm. "Both our names. Sure, but funny how in every interview, every story, it became about how you modernized my sound. How you brought this fresh perspective. That's the narrative you pushed." "Wasn't it?" Kelly's hands gripped her chair. "If that's how it came across, it was never my intention. I've always respected you, Reba. You're the reason I wanted to be in this business in the first place." "Respect?" Reba snapped, her voice low and dangerous. "Respect would have been checking with me before spinning your version of events. Respect would have meant making sure I was comfortable with how our duet was promoted instead of watching you take the spotlight." Kelly's composure cracked, her eyes flashing with something fiercer than her usual bubbly charm. "Reba, I never misrepresented anything. I was just sharing my experience. I never tried to diminish yours. You didn't need to say it outright." Reba shot back. "It was in the way you told every story. Young pop star helps country legend find a new sound. That was the message. That was the story." Kelly's voice finally rose, steadier now but trembling with emotion. "No, Reba, that was never the story. And I'm tired of you putting words in my mouth and intentions in my heart that weren't there. I went into those sessions studying your catalog, honoring your legacy. I never thought I was teaching Reba McEntire anything about music." Reba's eyes narrowed. "Then explain why your name was plastered first on half the promotional materials. Explain why every interview made it sound like you were the driving force." Kelly's mouth fell open. "My publicist." "Reba, I don't control how record labels design promo material. If mistakes were made, that wasn't me." "Mistakes?" Reba scoffed, her laugh sharp. "Listing the country legend second to the pop crossover. That's no mistake." Kelly's voice matched hers now, fierce and unflinching. "Yes, Reba, maybe it was a mistake. And maybe it's time you stopped assuming the worst about me." Kelly's voice cut through Reba's intensity, steady but edged with fire. "Because, believe it or not, Reba, the world doesn't revolve around some conspiracy to erase your legacy. Sometimes mistakes happen in this business, things on the marketing side that artists have no control over." The studio was deathly silent, the audience sat frozen, a mix of fascination and secondhand discomfort etched across their faces. In the front row, people exchanged uneasy glances, unsure if they should even be witnessing something so raw. Reba's face was flushed. Now, her anger no longer contained. You know what, Kelly? The fact that you're still standing here making excuses instead of owning up proves my point about your character. My character. Kelly's voice cracked, pain seeping into her anger. Reba, I've spent my entire career lifting up other artists, especially women in this industry. I have never once tried to tear someone down or steal credit that wasn't mine. Then why? Reba shot back, her tone rising like a storm. Did I have to sit through 3 different talk shows where you bragged about bringing a fresh perspectives to traditional country, using our duet as your example? Her voice echoed, and several audience members flinched. Kelly threw her hands up, exasperated, because that's what interviewers ask when a pop artist collaborates on a country song. They want to know about the creative mix, what each of us brought to the table. I was sharing my experience, not erasing yours. Your experience of teaching the country veteran new tricks. Reba's words dripped with venom. Your experience of modernizing my sound. Those were your exact words on The Tonight Show. Don't play coy, Kelly. I watched that interview. I recorded it. Kelly's face went pale. I never said I was teaching you anything. If I talked about bringing my perspective, it's because that's what collaboration is to artists. Bringing their strengths together. Collaboration. Reba spat the word. Real collaboration means equal respect in the story. It means the younger artist admits what she learned from the one who's been doing this for decades. Not the other way around. I did acknowledge that. Kelly's voice cracked as her eyes shimmered. In multiple interviews, I said how much I learned from you, how honored I was to work with you. After the fact, Reba snapped, slicing her words like a blade. Only after people started calling you out for the way you were framing things. After your team realized how bad it looked that you positioned yourself as the creative leader on a duet with Reba McEntire. Kelly was trembling now, whether from rage or heartbreak. No one could tell. That's not true, Reba, and you know it. I never positioned myself as anything other than grateful to work with you. Grateful. Reba laughed bitterly. Funny, because the minute promotion started, suddenly you were full of big insights about dragging country music into the modern era, and you used our duet to prove it. That was the breaking point. Kelly's composure snapped, her voice exploded across the stage, because that's the angle they always push when a pop artist does a country collaboration. I wasn't scheming to steal your thunder. I was answering the questions I was asked. And you couldn't have redirected those questions. Reba roared, leaning forward with fire in her eyes. You couldn't have said, actually, let's not twist this. This was Reba's vision too. Reba McEntire has been crossing boundaries and reinventing herself long before I ever came along. Kelly's eyes glistened, but her voice stayed strong. I did say things like that, Reba, maybe not in every interview, but I did. And the fact that you're standing here, acting like I orchestrated some campaign against you. Her voice wavered, that's breaking my heart. Breaking your heart. Reba's words dripped with disdain. You want to know what broke mine? Watching someone I supported turn our collaboration into a stepping stone for her own story about being an innovator. Mentored. Kelly blinked in disbelief. Reba, we worked together for 2 weeks. We recorded 1 song. When exactly did you mentor me? The question cracked through the air like a slap. Reba's expression shifted, shock, then hurt, then settling into cold fury. When I agreed to work with you, she said icily, when I lent you my name, my reputation, to give you credibility in country music. That was mentorship, whether you admit it or not. Kelly stared at her, the silence heavy, before answering in a voice quiet but sharp as steel. So you think recording with me was charity? That working with me was some favor you bestowed on the poor little pop star? I think, Reba said, slowly, I gave you an opportunity that opened doors in country music. And instead of being grateful, you twisted it into a story about your own artistic evolution. That broke Kelly's restraint. Her words cut like a blade. You're right, Reba. This collaboration did teach me something. It taught me that some people in this business are so insecure about their relevance. They need to control every single narrative. And years later, the audience gasped. Someone in the back whispered, oh my God, loud enough for the microphones to catch. Reba's face went white, then crimson, then pale again. Excuse me, you heard me. Kelly's mask was gone now, her pain raw and unfiltered. You want to talk about character? Let's talk about the character it takes to come on someone's show. Smile for the cameras, and then ambush them with accusations about something that happened years ago. Ambush you. Reba's voice dropped dangerously quiet. This isn't an ambush. This is me finally telling you the truth, how your actions affected me. No. Kelly shot back, her words This is you using my platform to air grudges you never once brought to me directly. You said you tried to reach out when, because I've always been accessible. Especially to someone of your stature. Reba leaned back, a cold smile twisting her lips. Oh, so now it's my fault for not trying hard enough to get through to the busy little pop star. It's your fault, Kelly snapped, for blindsiding me instead of having an adult conversation. For assuming the worst about my intentions without ever asking me what I meant. Assumptions. Reba's voice rose again. Kelly, I didn't assume a damn thing. I watched the interviews. I read the articles. I saw how you framed it in the media. And you decided, Kelly cut in, that I was responsible for every headline, every PR angle, every single interview question. You turned all of that into some master plan I supposedly cooked up. Reba shoved her chair back and stood abruptly, fury radiating. You know what? I don't have to sit here while you minimize what happened and play the victim. Kelly rose, too, steady but blazing. I'm not playing anything. I'm telling the truth. You've built this story in your head that I used you, manipulated you, and it's just not real. Not real. Reba's voice shook with rage. Do you have any idea what it feels like to watch someone half your age get praised for innovating music you've been perfecting for decades? To have your artistic integrity questioned by someone you once believed in. And do you know what it feels like? Kelly shot back, stepping closer. To be accused of being calculating and manipulative when all you did was work hard and answer questions honestly. Now they stood eye to eye, the coffee table between them like a fragile barrier. The studio audience held its breath, some covering their mouths in disbelief. Reba let out a harsh laugh. If you were being honest in those interviews, then your honesty revealed everything I suspected about your ego and your priorities. Kelly's face crumpled for a flicker of a moment before hardening again. My ego, Reba, you came here to lecture me about how I should have been more grateful as if working with me was a charity case, and you want to talk about ego. It wasn't charity, Reba snapped, but it was an opportunity, one plenty of other artists would have treated with more grace and humility than you did. Grace, humility. Kelly's voice cracked with disbelief. What would have been graceful, Reba? Telling every interviewer I was just lucky to breathe the same air as you. Downplaying my contributions so your feelings stayed intact. You should have remembered who paved the road you're walking on, Reba thundered, her voice booming through the studio. The words hit Kelly like a blow. For a moment, she just stared, wounded to her core. When she finally spoke, her voice trembled with quiet devastation. You know what breaks my heart most about this? I thought we created something beautiful. I thought our song was two generations of women coming together, building something neither of us could have made alone. Reba's expression softened just barely, but her tone stayed firm. That's what I thought too, until I watched you twist it into a showcase for your growth. I never twisted anything, Kelly said, tears streaming freely now. I just shared what the collaboration meant to me because that's what artists do. That's what interviewers asked me. And it never occurred to you, Reba demanded, her voice cutting, what those words might sound like to your collaborator. It never crossed your mind that Reba McEntire didn't need a young pop star explaining how she helped modernize country music. Kelly threw her hands up in despair. Kelly threw up her hands in complete exasperation. I never said I modernized anything, Reba. What I said was that working with you taught me about the timeless elements of great songwriting. I said our collaboration showed me new ways to approach melody and storytelling. Reba's eyes narrowed. After you spent half of every interview talking about bringing your pop sensibilities to traditional country music. Because that's what I brought to the table, Kelly exploded. That's what collaboration means. Each artist brings their strengths and perspective. I brought mine. You brought yours. And together we created something you've twisted into an accusation. Or, Reba shot back, something you used as proof of your artistic versatility and growth. Kelly froze, her voice dropping into a deadly calm. You know what, Reba? You're right about one thing. This conversation has taught me something. Reba crossed her arms, waiting. It's taught me that you're so threatened by younger artists getting recognition that you can't celebrate their success without feeling like it diminishes your own legacy. The accusation detonated in the air. Reba's expression shifted from shock to rage to something closer to betrayal. Her reply came low and venomous. Threatened by younger artists. Kelly, I've spent 40 years building up new voices, mentoring them, opening doors for them. Then why can't you do the same for me? Kelly's voice cracked. Why can't you celebrate that our collaboration introduced your music to a whole new generation of fans? Because you made it about you. Reba erupted, her control finally breaking. Instead of honoring what we built together, you turned it into Kelly Clarkson's journey of artistic discovery. You took what should have been a celebration of two artists and turned it into a case study in your evolution. Kelly's face was wet with tears, but her voice didn't waver. That is not what I did. Deep down, you know it. What you're really angry about is that I didn't spend every interview gushing about how lucky I was to work with the great Reba McEntire. What I'm angry about, Reba shot back, is that you never once acknowledged that maybe you should be grateful, that working with me might have been more than just another collaboration with just another artist. Because that's exactly what it was supposed to be. Kelly screamed, finally shattering. Two equals making something beautiful together. It wasn't supposed to be me kissing the ring and begging for scraps from the Queen's table. The Queen's table. The words landed like a physical slap. Reba's face crumpled. Scraps from the Queen's table. She whispered, hollow and wounded. Is that really how you see me? After everything I've given to this industry, After all the artists I've tried to lift up. Kelly looked horrified, realizing she'd gone too far. Reba, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant our collaboration wasn't charity. It wasn't a favor. But Reba shook her head, her face carved with hurt. No, Kelly, you meant it. You've always seen me as some aging queen, expecting younger artists to grovel for approval. That's not true. Kelly cried, reaching out. I respect you. You're one of my heroes. Reba stepped back, avoiding her hand. Heroes don't expect gratitude, right? They just fade into the background while the new stars shine. Stop twisting my words. Kelly begged, sobbing openly now. I'm not twisting anything, Reba said, eerily calm. I'm finally hearing the truth, what you really think, about me and my place in your career. And it's exactly what I always suspected. Reba, please, Kelly pleaded through tears. This has gotten out of hand. We both said things we didn't mean. Can't we step back and talk like adults? Reba laughed bitterly. Adults don't bottle up resentment for years and then explode on national television. Adults don't accuse their collaborators of being insecure relics looking for validation. I'm sorry, Kelly sobbed. I was angry. I said something cruel, but it doesn't reflect how I feel about you. Reba studied her for a long moment. Her expression didn't soften, it hardened. No, Kelly, I think it reflects exactly how you feel, how a lot of people in this industry feel about artists like me. We're museum pieces brought out for credibility, then shoved aside when it's time to be modern and relevant again. That's not true, Kelly whispered. Isn't it? Reba asked quietly. Because this entire argument has been you defending your right to use our collaboration as proof of your growth, without ever once acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, the veteran in the room contributed something of value to. Kelly opened her mouth, but Reba raised her hand to silence her. You know what? I'm done. I'm done trying to explain respect to someone half my age. I'm done trying to convince you that legacy isn't just about what you achieve, but about how you honor the people who came before you. The studio was so silent you could hear a pin drop. Reba walked calmly to her chair, picked up her purse, and straightened her jacket with quiet dignity. Reba, please don't leave, Kelly begged, stumbling after her. We can work this out. We can talk privately after the show. Reba turned one last time, her face etched with sadness and finality. Kelly, we've both said everything we needed to say. The cameras caught it all. Your audience heard it all. Now everyone knows exactly where we stand. This isn't who I am, Kelly whispered desperately. Maybe not, Reba said softly. But it's who you are today, in the moment when it mattered most. And with that, Reba McEntire turned and walked out, her heels clicking against the studio floor in devastating silence. Kelly collapsed back into her chair, face buried in her hands as the audience sat frozen, unsure whether to applaud, console, or pretend they hadn't just witnessed the implosion of a relationship between two music icons. The cameras kept rolling. Somewhere in the control room, producers were already calculating the viral impact of what had just become one of the most shocking moments in daytime television history, masterclass in how years of unspoken resentment can explode in the most public way possible, leaving two women broken and a friendship seemingly destroyed beyond repair.